Random forest. Welcome everyone. Today we will be discussing decision trees and random forests, two powerful machine learning techniques used for classification and regression tasks. Decision trees are simple, yet effective algorithms that are widely used in various applications, from business and finance to healthcare and biology. Random forests, on the other hand, are an extension of decision trees that combine multiple trees to create a more robust model. In this presentation, we will explore the basic concepts of decision trees and random forests, understand how they work, and learn about their strengths and limitations. By the end of this presentation, you will have a strong foundation of these two machine learning techniques and be able to apply them to various real-world problems. So, let's get started. Decision tree learning. Decision tree learning is a method of building predictive models in the form of a tree-like structure, where internal nodes represent the decisions based on certain features, and leaf nodes represent the final predictions, class labels for classification or numeric values for regression. This algorithm starts at the root node and traverses the tree by making decisions based on the feature values of a sample, until it reaches a leaf node with a prediction. Decision tree learning is supervised because it requires labeled training data to construct the tree and make predictions. The goal of decision tree learning is to find the tree structure that best splits the data into homogeneous subgroups, leading to high accuracy in predictions for new samples. Overfitting. Overfitting is a common problem in machine learning and statistical modeling, where the model becomes too complex and fits the training data too closely, capturing the noise and random fluctuations in the data rather than the underlying pattern. As a result, the model performs well on the training data but poorly on unseen data, and has low generalization ability. Overfitting occurs when a model has too many parameters, compared to the amount of training data available, causing it to learn the idiosyncrasies of the training data and not the underlying relationships. To avoid overfitting, techniques such as cross-validation, regularization, and early stopping can be used to control the model complexity and improve the generalization ability of the model. Training, validation, and test data sets. To evaluate the performance of a machine learning model and prevent overfitting, the available data is typically split into three parts: training, validation, and test data sets. It's important to have a clear distinction between these three data sets, as it ensures that the model's performance is accurately evaluated and that it can make reliable predictions on new and unseen data. Training data. This is the largest part of the data that is used to train the model and fit the parameters. The model learns the relationships between the features and the target variable from the training data. Validation data. This data is used to tune the hyperparameters of the model, such as the depth of a decision tree or the number of trees in a random forest. The model is trained on the training data and its performance is evaluated on the validation data to select the best hyperparameters. Test data. This data is held out and not used during the training or validation phase. It is used to evaluate the final performance of the model and estimate its generalization ability. The test data provides an independent assessment of the model's performance and helps to prevent overfitting. Bias-variance trade-off. The bias-variance trade-off is an important concept in machine learning that refers to the trade-off between the accuracy of the model's predictions and its ability to generalize to new data. Bias refers to the error introduced by approximating a complex underlying relationship with a simpler model. Models with high bias have a tendency to make consistent but incorrect predictions, underfitting the data. Variance, on the other hand, refers to the error introduced by the model's sensitivity to the fluctuations in the training data. Models with high variance have a tendency to overfit the data, fitting the noise in the training data instead of the underlying pattern. The goal in machine learning is to find a balance between bias and variance, so that the model is not too simple, high bias, or too complex, high variance, but can generalize well to new data. This balance is referred to as the bias-variance trade-off, and achieving it requires careful selection of the model's hyperparameters, the size of the training data, and the features used. Decision tree. A decision tree is a type of graphical model used in decision analysis, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. It is a tree-like structure that represents a set of decisions and their possible consequences. Each internal node in the tree represents a decision, and each leaf node represents the final outcome or result. The branches of the tree represent the possible choices or decisions, and the conditions under which each choice leads to a certain outcome. The main goal of using a decision tree is to identify the best possible decision or course of action based on the available information. Decision trees can be used to model complex decision-making processes, such as those involving multiple variables and outcomes, and can help decision makers to understand the trade-offs between different choices. Decision trees can be used in a variety of applications, including finance, marketing, and healthcare. They are particularly useful in situations where the outcome of a decision depends on multiple factors, and where it is important to understand the relationships between these factors and the final outcome. Statistical classification. Statistical classification is a type of machine learning problem where the goal is to assign an observation to one of several predefined categories or classes. This can be achieved by training a classifier on a labeled dataset, where the classifier learns to make predictions based on the patterns and relationships in the data. Classification algorithms are commonly used in many applications, including image and speech recognition, medical diagnosis, spam filtering, and customer segmentation. There are several types of classification algorithms, including linear and logistic regression, decision trees, k-nearest neighbors, support vector machines, and neural networks. The choice of algorithm depends on the specific characteristics of the data and the problem being solved. In addition to accuracy, other performance metrics used to evaluate the effectiveness of a classifier include precision, recall, F1 score, and the confusion matrix. Overfitting and underfitting are common challenges in classification, and can be addressed through techniques such as cross-validation, regularization, and ensemble methods. Recursive partitioning. Recursive partitioning is a process in which a dataset is divided into smaller subgroups based on the values of a particular feature. This process is repeated recursively until a stopping criteria is met, such as a minimum number of samples in a group or a certain level of homogeneity within the groups. This method is often used in the creation of decision trees, where the goal is to partition the data in a way that accurately predicts the target variable. Greedy algorithm. A greedy algorithm is a simple algorithm that makes a locally optimal choice at each step in order to solve a problem. The algorithm takes the optimal choice at each stage without considering the long-term impact of that decision on the overall solution. This means that it may not produce the globally optimal solution, but it can provide a quick and reasonably good approximation. It's named as greedy because it takes the best immediate option at each step, rather than considering the best overall solution. This approach can be useful for solving problems in a short amount of time and can provide good results for many optimization problems, but it's not guaranteed to always find the best solution. Types. Bootstrap aggregating. Bootstrap aggregating is a popular ensemble method that combines the predictions of multiple models to improve the accuracy and stability of the predictions. It works by creating multiple subsets of the training data, each subset created by randomly sampling the original training data with replacement. This process is called bootstrapping, and it ensures that each subset has a different distribution of instances from the original data. Next, a separate model is trained on each subset, and the final prediction is obtained by combining the predictions of all the models. The models can be any machine learning algorithm, but they are often decision trees or artificial neural networks. Bootstrapping has several benefits in machine learning. Firstly, it reduces the variance of the model, which means that the predictions are more stable and less prone to overfitting. Secondly, it introduces randomization into the model, which can help to overcome the problem of overfitting and improve the generalization of the model. Finally, bootstrapping can also help to reduce the bias of the model, as the final prediction is based on the combination of multiple models. In summary, bootstrap aggregating is a powerful and simple ensemble method that can be applied to improve the accuracy and stability of machine learning models. It is widely used in many applications, such as sentiment analysis, image classification, and medical diagnosis. Sampling. Sampling is a method in statistics and survey methodology where a subset of individuals from a population is selected to estimate the characteristics of the whole population. Different methods of sampling, such as simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, systematic sampling, and multi-stage sampling, can be used depending on the research question, population type, and available resources. The goal is to obtain representative and accurate information about the population with a smaller number of observations. Cross-validation. Cross-validation is a technique used to evaluate the performance of machine learning models by dividing the available data into multiple partitions and using one partition as the validation data and the other partitions as training data. The model is trained on the training data and then evaluated on the validation data. This process is repeated several times, each time using a different partition as the validation set. The results are then averaged to produce a single performance metric, which provides a better estimate of the model's performance on new, unseen data. Cross-validation helps to prevent overfitting, as the model is tested on data that it has not seen during training. Out-of-bag error. The out-of-bag, OOB, error is a measure of the prediction error of machine learning models that use bootstrapping, bagging, in their ensemble. The idea behind OOB error is that each time a bootstrapped sample is created, some instances are left out and not used for training. These left-out instances are called out-of-bag instances. The OOB error can be used as an estimate of the generalization error of the model, as it provides a way of measuring the accuracy of the model on unseen data. The OOB error is calculated by using the out-of-bag instances to make predictions and comparing them to the actual values. The average difference between the predictions and actual values is the OOB error. The OOB error is a convenient way of evaluating the model, as it does not require a separate validation set and can be calculated during the training process. It is also an unbiased estimate of the generalization error, as it uses instances that were not seen during training to make predictions. In summary, the OOB error is a useful and convenient method of evaluating the performance of machine learning models that use bootstrapping, bagging. It provides an unbiased estimate of the generalization error and can be calculated during the training process, without the need for a separate validation set. Random subspace method. The random subspace method is a technique used in ensemble learning to improve the diversity of individual models in an ensemble. It works by randomly selecting a subset of features to use for each individual model in the ensemble, instead of using all the features. This helps to reduce the correlation between the models and create a more diverse set of models. The final prediction is obtained by aggregating the predictions from all individual models. This method can improve the overall performance of the ensemble by reducing overfitting and increasing the stability of the predictions. By introducing randomness into the feature selection process, the random subspace method helps to prevent the models from becoming too dependent on a specific subset of features, making them more robust and less likely to be influenced by irrelevant or noisy features. Bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is a statistical technique used to estimate the variability of a model's performance. It involves generating multiple new samples from the original data by randomly selecting observations with replacement. These new samples, known as bootstrapped samples, are then used to create multiple versions of the model. The performance of each model is then evaluated to give an estimate of the model's variability. This allows the model's performance to be quantified and gives a better understanding of the uncertainty associated with the model's predictions. Bootstrapping can be used to generate confidence intervals, to estimate prediction error, and to determine the stability